This is the story of a man who tried to kill his wife with a viper. When that didn't work, he used a cobra. In the small town of Anchal, in the southern Indian state of Kerala, an incident of chilling proportions unfolded on the night of May 6, 2020. The tranquility of the town was shattered when news spread of the tragic death of a young woman named Uttara. The cause of her untimely demise was a snake bite, but this was no ordinary snake bite. The perpetrator was a highly venomous cobra, found right in Uttara's bedroom, a place where one would least expect to encounter such a deadly creature. Uttara, a 25-year-old woman, was a beloved daughter and a doting mother to a 1-year-old son. She had been recuperating at her parents' home following a previous snakebite incident that had occurred just a month prior. On the night of the first snakebite incident, Uttara was at her in-laws' house in Kerala. She was sleeping in her room when a highly venomous Russell's viper bit her. Her husband, Suraj Kumar, had smuggled the snake into her bedroom and orchestrated the bite while she was asleep. The bite was so severe that Uttara woke up screaming in pain, alerting her family members who were in the house at the time. They rushed to her aid and immediately took her to the hospital. Suraj had procured the viper from a snake handler under the guise of his interest in reptiles. The viper's bite was extremely debilitating. Uttara was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, where she spent 52 days completely bedridden. She underwent multiple surgeries and treatments, including anti-venom administration and plastic surgery to repair the damage. The bite was so severe that she lost the use of one of her legs and had to learn to walk again. Despite the severity of the bite, she survived this ordeal, much to Suraj's disappointment. Undeterred by the failure of his first attempt, Suraj planned a second attack. This time, he chose a cobra, another deadly snake. The incident occurred at Uttara's parents' house, where she was recovering from the first attack. Suraj repeated his earlier modus operandi, releasing the cobra in Uttara's room while she was asleep. The night of the incident was like any other. Uttara had retired to her bedroom, while her husband, Suraj, was also present in the house. Suraj later admitted to police that he gave sleep-inducing pills to his wife in order to sedate her before releasing the snake. He confessed that he had starved the cobra for 11 days and kept it in a bottle to ensure that the cobra would bite his wife. Suraj released the cobra that he had brought into their bedroom. Uttara, who was asleep at the time, was bitten by the cobra. Suraj then waited for the venom to take effect before calling for help. By the time help arrived, it was too late. Uttara was rushed to the hospital, but this time, unfortunately, Uttara did not survive the snake bite. Suraj's choice of snakes as weapons for murder was a calculated decision, as snake bites could be mistaken for natural incidents, especially in a region like Kerala, where such incidents are not uncommon. The circumstances surrounding Uttara's death were undeniably suspicious. Cobras were not typically found in residential areas, and the fact that Uttara had been bitten by 2 different venomous snakes in her own home was beyond the realm of coincidence. The authorities were alerted, and an investigation was launched into the strange and tragic death of Uttara. The investigation into Uttara's death was a complex and challenging one. The Kerala police, led by Crime Branch DSP A. Asakan, were tasked with unraveling the mystery surrounding the 2 snakebite incidents. The fact that Uttara had been bitten by 2 different venomous snakes within the span of 2 months, both times in her own home, was highly suspicious. The investigators had to consider all the possibilities, including the unthinkable that Uttara's death was not an accident, but a premeditated act of murder. The first step into the investigation was to examine the circumstances of the 2 snakebite incidents. The investigators found that both incidents had occurred at night while Uttara was sleeping. In both cases, her husband Suraj was present in the house. This raised questions about Suraj's role in the incidents. Could it be a mere coincidence that Uttara had been bitten by a venomous snake twice in her own home, both times in the presence of her husband? The investigators then turned their attention to Suraj, a 28-year-old private bank employee. Suraj was initially cooperative with the investigation. However, as the investigators delved deeper into his life and activities, they began to uncover a web of deceit. They found that Suraj had been in contact with a snake handler named Suresh, who was known to supply snakes for religious rituals. Phone records revealed that Suraj had made multiple calls to Suresh in the days leading up to both snakebite incidents. This was a significant breakthrough in the investigation, providing a potential link between Suraj and the snakes that had bitten Uttara. Further investigation revealed that Suraj had watched numerous videos on snakes and snake handling on the internet. His search history showed that he had researched the effects of snake venom and how to handle snakes without getting bitten. The evidence suggested that Suraj had been planning the snakebite incident for some time. The investigators also discovered that Suraj had taken out 2 life insurance policies on Uttara, totaling an amount of 98 lakh rupees, approximately 130,000 US dollars. The policies were taken out just months before the first snakebite incident, and Suraj stood to be the sole beneficiary in the event of Uttara's death. This provided a motive for Suraj to want Uttara dead. However, his motive was not just the life insurance money. Suraj was dissatisfied with his marriage to Uttara, particularly due to her learning disability. He had received a substantial dowry, including money and gold, upon marrying Uttara. However, he was not content and desired more. Suraj feared that divorcing Uttara would mean that he would have to return the dowry. Therefore, he began to plot her death as the means to retain the dowry and possibly receive more wealth from her life insurance policy. His desire to remarry was also a factor in his sinister plans. The police discovered that Uttara's bedroom had the smell of kerosene and phenol, which are snake repellents, indicating that the snake could not have come on its own in the room. The location and timing of the bites were also suspicious. Uttara was bitten late at night, outside the usual activity time of cobras, and the viper bite occurred in a wet, marshy area, which is not the natural habitat of the viper. Moreover, the bite marks on Uttara's leg indicated that she was bitten while lying down, which is unusual for a snake bite. The police also found that Uttara did not immediately respond to the bites, suggesting that she was sedated. The police also brought in an official from the forest department who had been bitten by venomous snakes multiple times. He testified that there would be excruciating pain when bitten by a Russell's viper or a cobra, even if the person is sleeping. This testimony further supported the theory that the bites were induced by Suraj. On the basis of these findings, the police concluded that the snake bites were not accidental, but were part of a premeditated murder plan. As the evidence against Suraj began to pile up, the investigators confronted him with their findings. Faced with the mounting evidence, Suraj finally confessed. He admitted to obtaining the snakes from Suresh and using them to kill Uttara. He revealed that he had thrown the viper into Uttara's bed while she was sleeping, resulting in the first snake bite. When Uttara survived the viper bite, Suraj decided to use a more venomous snake, a cobra, to finish the job. One of the key aspects of the investigation was the reconstruction of the crime scene. The police meticulously created the events of the nights when the snake bites occurred, with Suraj demonstrating how he had managed to get the snakes to bite Uttara without arousing her suspicion. This exercise provided valuable insights into Suraj's modus operandi and further corroborated the evidence against him. An expert team studied the bites very carefully and found 3 main reasons why Uttara's injury was not a natural snake bite. First, the fang width of the bites on Uttara's body was more than 2 centimeters, which is larger than the natural fang width of a fully grown cobra. An expert testified in court that the width increases in case of an induced or forced bite when the cobra's head is held and is made to secrete its venom. Second, cobras are very frugal in spending their venom and would not bite the enemy again after one bite. However, Ustra had 2 successive bites, 2 millimeters apart from each other, indicating that the bites were not accidental but homicidal. Third, the room that Ustra was found in was on the ground floor and had a window 62 centimeters from the ground level. There was no way the cobra could have entered the window on its own, as cobras can only raise themselves vertically to 1/3 of their length. The air-conditioned room was tightly closed, and there was a very small gap, 2 to 4 millimeters, between the door and ground. And so, it was impossible for the snake to pass beneath the door. The room had the smell of kerosene and phenol, which are snake repellents, which is another reason the snake could not have come into the room on its own. The trial of Suraj for the murder of his wife Ustra was a riveting spectacle. This was the first case in Kerala in which a murder involved the use of a live animal as a weapon. The question on everybody's mind was, would justice be served for Ustra? The resolution of this chilling case came after a year-long trial that had gripped the entire state of Kerala. The court, presided over by Judge A.S.J. Krishnan, delivered its verdict on October 11, 2021. Suraj, the man who had used a cobra to kill his wife, was found guilty of murder, evidence tampering, and endangering wildlife. Following the verdict, Suraj was sentenced to 17 years plus double life imprisonment, which means he has to remain in jail till the end of his life without any entitlement to remission or parole, and a fine of 5 lakh or 500,000 Indian rupees. He was also sentenced to 7 years of rigorous imprisonment under sections of the Wildlife Protection Act for handling the snakes and using them to commit the crime. Suresh, the snake handler who supplied the snakes to Suraj, was also found guilty in connection with the case. He was sentenced to 4 years of rigorous imprisonment for capturing the snakes and selling them to Suraj. The court also imposed a fine of 10,000 Indian rupees on him.